Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to A Backwards Glance. It's time for a few more stories with a little bit of a Southern flavor to them from right here in Chambers County. I thought it might be a good idea today to take you on just a brief and short road trip to the northern part of the county. So we made our way up to Buffalo, Alabama. And I'm going to roll some tape behind this of what we were able to film. We made a special trip to one of my favorite spots as a kid growing up. It was one of the few places that my parents and I and grandparents and aunts and uncles were able to go to because it was free. We didn't have the money to spend on a lot of fancy places, so these free spots were always a welcome part of the weekends when I was a kid. So hang on, hope you enjoy this video, and we'll come back and close when it's over. Well, we're taking a short trip to one of my favorite places, beautiful house there in the woods. A spot that used to be quite the event center around town. And we'll just ease on down there and I'll show you one of the really fun locations that we used to spend Saturday and Sunday afternoons here in the big city of Lafayette. One of the few places my family and I actually used to gather with other family members, aunts, uncles, and cousins on Saturday. Look at that magnificent old barn there. Here's where the road begins to deteriorate just a little bit, and very shortly it's going to turn into a dirt road. And we have arrived. There have been many days that we have walked up that path and also cut through this section. I'll walk you down to what I keep teasing about. And we're talking about none other than Ward's Mill. Because of the drought, the water is very far down. It's barely trickling. Right here was one of the very first slides. You would go down there to the left where that big rock is. Could keep going if the water was up all the way down around that curve. And then much further down was a worn trough just over the turn there, just around the turn there. It was very much a chute. Slippery, slick, and dangerous. A lot of people got hurt up here when they weren't being careful. But typically when the water is up, this entire area, all the rock area, is running water. But this is good old Ward's Mill. We would bring a picnic basket. My two sisters, my father and my mother, we would typically have aunts and uncles and other cousins. Sometimes my grandparents would come, and we would park along this road, walk through those woods. Down there where you see that water make a hard left, there's a little open area just in the woods to the right, or at least there was. And that's where we would set things up. Kids could swim just a little bit further down and play all the way back up here to the bridge. And yep, one of my chapters in my book was called The Battle of Ward's Mill. And I don't even think I came up here. I think I remembered it well enough just to write the battle scene from memory. It's a great old spot. I'm actually not sure if the old mill was here Or if it was on the other side, we'll take a quick look over there and see if we can determine that. And there you see where the road is just past the bridge, turns into a dirt road if you're winding your way further north in the county. Seems like there used to be some old concrete pilings that you could pick up when you were thinking about the mill, but I don't think they'd be on the upper side. This creek is usually running a little bit heavier than this, but boy, we are so dry. It's a beautiful spot. Most of the trees have lost their leaves. It's just about to be hunting weather when the temperatures cool off a little bit. Even with the water running low, you can still hear it. It's a really special place for me. It's very simple, nothing fancy about it. It was just a very big event for us to come here as a kid. Poor man's entertainment. It was like the poor people's park. And I truly did love coming here. There was Tomlinson's Pool when I was a little older. This place was the first spot. And then the second spot we went to was a place called Sharp's Lake up near White Plains. And the Sharp family ran that lake, and it was just another big lake. I think they had a little white sandy beach, grassy parking area, and I seem to remember there was a tower, a wooden tower that was, whatever, 50 feet tall, and you could climb up that thing. Maybe it was one of the forest fire towers. I'm just not sure. But those three places always stick in my mind when I think about simple things we did when I was a young kid. Really cost very little money, and it was always a great time. And I look forward to being at all three of those places. So there you have it. That's a wrap. Ward's Mill. We'll come back maybe if we get some rain, and I'll show you what this place looks like when it's really has a heavy water flow over the falls. There is an old barn back there. Somewhere. There it is. I guess you could say that's a few miles of nice new fencing. Beautiful tree there in the front yard. Old barn, a smaller barn, maybe a little garage. Give you a little bit of information about where we are. Just out my window there, you see this long brick wall. It's actually a foundation. It was the front walk to a very large house that was just behind there. A classmate of mine lived there. It was the Cofield family, and this house burned down when we were kids. And I remember that day very well. They came to school and picked up my friend Randy and his sister and brought them home after learning the house had burned down. And just across the street, an old-fashioned country store with a squirrel hanging out on the front porch. And these are the cotton fields in Buffalo, Alabama. I believe the Kendrick family still farms here. They're there. Let me switch sides. They're on this side of the road, and they're just over the edge of the road there that you probably pick up when we go up this hill. Beautiful cotton farms. A lot of acreage here in cotton this year. It's either going to be cotton or corn, it seems like every year, maybe some beans. And directly ahead is a place that I have mentioned multiple times. Straight ahead with the Buffalo, Alabama name on the side of it is Mr. Pete Wilson's grocery store. And that's the old cotton gin that was there. It's my understanding from some of my relatives that I lived there, where this chimney stands, when I was very, very young, maybe when I was born. My parents lived in a house right here on this road in Buffalo, Alabama. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I am smiling because this is again, take like 22 trying to get this thing put together for today. Really enjoyed taking that little time journey back to places from my childhood that are very special to me. And we're going to do a lot more of that on this channel. We're going to try to take you to some places around town and around the county that are special and have a lot of memories. One of the memories is this hat. If you were from here in the late 60s, you remember one of the local people, Mr. Jim Stewart. He was a member of the Cincinnati Reds, and he was one of the people that I admired. I admired his ability to be a professional baseball player, and we all appreciated on Jim Stewart Day him bringing Johnny Bench and Pete Rose into town. I think I've mentioned that before, but today on the road trip, we're wearing our Reds hat in honor of Mr. Stewart, and maybe one day soon, my Cincinnati Reds will actually be winners again. I'm not sure of that, but maybe. Again, I hope you enjoyed today, and we'll be back in a week or so and show you a few more things from right here in the city of Lafayette and good old Chambers County. Until then, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.